All righty, welcome everybody. We will go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to do a session today with our co-founders, Miriam and Artur, to review not just 2023, but also we'll look ahead into what's coming up this year as well. If you can, just chime in the chat here real quick and tell us where you're at, how you're joining us. We'd love to hear from you. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the session, so if you have any questions or anything, please put those in the chat. The transcript for the video will also be provided. We'll have you'll be emailed a copy of the recording if you'd like to go back and rewatch anything. And we also get all of these chat messages as well. So if there's something that you'd like for us to reach out to you about later, you can please, put in your email address or put in your question there in the chat, and we can try to reach out after the session is over if we do not get to your question. So that said, on the agenda, like I said, we've got our year in review with Miriam and Artur. They're going to handle that in just a second. Then we've got our what's coming in 2024, some plans. We'll kind of discuss those types of things, and then we've got an Ask Me Anything session towards the end, where you can pretty much ask anything. But if you think of something in the meantime, please feel free to put it in the chat. Seeing lots of awesome people come through from Norway and Poland, Bulgaria, Sweden, France, all over the world. Super awesome to see so many different people from all over the globe using Softr and taking an interest in building and no code. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to Miriam, who is our CEO and co-founder of Softr.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Patrick. And hey, everyone, really excited to go ahead and share all of the achievements that we have throughout 2023. And then Artur will share a bit more about the plans and what's coming for 2024. So let's start. So as everyone knows already, our goal and mission is to build the world's largest ecosystem for people to discover, create, and share no-code apps. And we have had lots of things happen during 2023. And as we reflect on another year of no-code with Softr, we feel really grateful for all the amazing things we have to achieve together with the community as well. We shipped 50 plus big and medium features, 100 plus new 30 plus templates and portal and internal tool templates, hired great people to the team, grew our passionate community from 100,000 to 300,000 people this year. And we're really inspired and excited to see thousands of companies and operators keep adopting no-code tools, particularly Softr, and this year especially for their work. And they have been managing internal work processes, client relationships, and really turning manual siloed workflows into entire software systems. So let's dive into some more details, especially around the product side of what have been some of the big things and the updates we have had throughout the year. So first, but before we jump into that, actually, just kind of to reiterate our what really we're trying to do. So Softr really helps people build software, and the big part of software building consists of three main parts, as most of the engineers know if you ask them as well. So database, which is the place that stores and manages applications data, to keep it organized and easily accessible. Design and layout, which is the UI for presenting data to the users in a nice and aesthetically pleasing manner that also lets users interact and manage this data. And logic and authentication. That's really all of the rules, the processes to help manage the operations and what's happening within the application. So as Softr, we really want to excel in all of these areas. And as we have kept repeating over the years as well, we do want to build a platform that's extremely simple to use, yet powerful at the same time. So this year really was, last year, 2022 was still all about working throughout both parts, making it really simple to use and easy to start with, but also at the same time powerful, so you can not just build simple apps, but go beyond that. So the big part, let's start from data sources. So this year we have been working very hard on adding more data sources. And in addition to Airtable, Softr now also works with Google Sheets out of beta and SmartSuite which is a popular Airtable alternative. Many of you probably are using as well, even alongside Airtable. And in Q1 2024, so this year, we will also open early access for HubSpot and BigQuery. This also have been work in progress in the last quarters. Next up is AI app generator. Well, I'm sure a lot of you have already used it. So with all of the advancements in AI, we actually have always been on the lookout to harness the value that it provides. And we have been one of the first no-code platforms back in 2022, December, to launch the first AI features within the platform that enable the users to generate application copy and images with AI, as well as create their own AI apps. So fast forward to October 2023, we also unveiled Softr AI App Generator, which is the next level of software building with really nothing than simple prompt. So with our new AI App Generator, which really helps people to kickstart, especially in their early journey, it helps them build everything from client portals to internal tools, project trackers, intranets, CRMs, all you can imagine, really generating fully fledged applications with a business logic, design, copywriting, user roles, permissions, and the entire database with just a single prompt. If you haven't tried it yet, go ahead and try it for yourself. It's available on the website, so you can easily find it. Action buttons has been the next big thing we worked on. So as you probably know, if you have used Softr long enough, action buttons, so buttons in general, long existed already in Softr, but previously you could only set up navigation actions. So we completely rebuilt how actions are performed in Softr this year. And beyond just opening a URL, opening a page or model, now those actions also can perform CRUD operations, which is a direct creating, deleting, updating information type operations directly to your database, and which, even though before people could do workarounds around that using Zapier and Make, obviously this is much easier way to do the same operation, and at the same time it's just like much more streamlined process within your app. So we're going to go beyond that as well and add a lot more other actions this year. So Arthur will speak about that in a minute. But also one thing to add, instead of beyond just doing the operations, you also can set visibility rules based on different parameters like logged in state, user group, item fields. So pretty powerful, and you can define logic of in what cases what kinds of actions are performed, who sees what kinds of buttons, etc. For all of those, we do also have certain specific blogs that explain a lot more details or documentation. So we will link up afterwards our blog post that we wrote as a recap for all of you to find more details on this, and then read through if you're interested. Charts, templates and 30+ templates for internal tools and portals. So we also have been working hard in helping our users to kickstart their journey by providing already existing pre-built templates. Even though the templates are very customizable, you can start from scratch or a template to get most of the job done for you, but at the same time it has to match to your needs. So we have not just only added new templates for within internal tool and portal use cases, but also revamped some of the existing templates to really match more specifically to the actual use cases you shared feedback that you're using, and what kinds of features and what kinds of certain functionality you're expecting the templates to provide. So charts. So next big thing we worked on was charts. They got a makeover this year, even though design-wise they're still work in progress. It's going to be updated soon as well. But the way that you set them up completely changed with new functionalities added. So previously we had very simple versions of charts, just showcasing the data you have in Airtable. Right now the charts support aggregation, grouping, sorting, empty value handling, and more. So again, to understand more details, we will link up the blog posts we have written specifically covering all of the details of this. Next up was Airtable authentication and workspace level data sources. So before, the way it worked was for every application creation, you had to set up again and again your connection to the database, whether it's Airtable or Google Sheets. So now this is more streamlined, and now it's available. It's moved to workspace level where you can set it only once and easily either update or add just one data source, and then all of your other applications can just simply work from that data source. So it's much easier to manage your entire application suite within your workspace. And also, obviously, yeah, we officially introduced OAuth as the new Airtable integration authentication method, which is something that they released as well. And everyone integrating with Airtable have to update that. Hopefully, this wasn't much work on your end, as we tried to kind of do most of the work on our end to make this process as simple as possible. So on the ecosystem and community side, we also have some updates, even though the team on that side was pretty small and we haven't dedicated too big of an effort this year on that end, but we have had several also cool updates there. So one of those being Softr Universe, which is one of the biggest ones. So in the beginning of the year, we launched Softr Universe, which is a big step toward our long-term mission of building the largest no-code ecosystem. And it's the place to discover and share software templates. So you can showcase your software skills as a creator of software, a builder within Softr. You can create your own templates, showcase those templates within the library, generate new leads also for your business if you have your own agency you're running, etc. And in the beginning, we already showcased, we were honored to showcase 10 software template creators and their apps. And we are continuously accepting applications on a rolling basis and plan to expanding beyond what we already have on the market in the template library this year. So next up is education. We also did a lot of work on the education side. So we, in order to help people master software and not just simply start, but also go beyond that and really master software and the production, we launched a series of video tutorials to showcase our core features, how you can use certain functionalities within the platform, but as well as what you can build with them, what specific use cases you can learn about different use cases that you potentially haven't built, but from the examples and from the templates that we offer, things like portals, CRMs, inventory management. Make sure to check out also our rich library on YouTube channel. And if you hit a roadblock or want to discover other new use cases, always reach out to us on the customer support chat or community, and we will make sure that we continue adding more interesting, educational resources for all of you. And last but not least, I believe, is No-Code Summit 2023, which was a big one, and we're all very excited to join this as second consecutive year, and we have been also proud sponsor. This was Europe's largest no-code conference, and it was an amazing chance to really connect with the no-code community and meet long-term software fans, but also meet all of the other platforms and no-code agencies and people building with no-code. So the highlight for us was also that we unveiled the Softr's AI app generator during the conference, and then the response was really heartwarming, and we got lots of interesting, games going on, interesting conversations, and learned a lot and got lots of feedback on not just the AI generator, but overall about everything we're doing at Softr, which was really good kind of input for all of us to continue improving the product. So with that, I want to switch gears and turn it back to Arthur to kind of share what's coming in 2024. But maybe before we dive into that, any questions so far that we have? I'm happy to maybe cover those, and then we move on to the next part.
There are a few questions, one of which I've answered kind of in the chat here. So we do have someone asking, do you have any plans to extend the AI prompts so that we can give them more information on what to build? At the moment, it's very restrictive. And then another similar one to that is custom GPT or OpenAI assistance via API.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. So we will cover a bit the AI topic in 2024 area as well, and maybe I'll take that answer there. Fine. Any other question, Patrick?
Nope, that's it. We did have someone asking about selling subscriptions to software applications, but you can actually already do that. So I'm kind of addressing that one in the chat here.
Great. Okay, then let me present it
Great.
quickly. So I'm excited to talk about what's coming in 2024, which is the current year, and we'll be doing more cool stuff. In general, we'll focus on three goals for 2024, and the first one being making software more powerful. Make software powerful for advanced business use cases, particularly because the journey that we started at Softr, we started very MVP driven. So initially it was kind of allowing to build simple applications. As the years pass, we actually invest into making it more powerful and more tailored for the business use cases. And we see more and more small, medium businesses adopting software and building tools, products that they use day to day. And this will be a core focus for 2024 as well, adding functionalities that help them to even go further. And we'll dive into that in a bit. We'll also be continuing adding more data sources. So as Mariam mentioned, on 2023, we added about like as the end of 2023, we let's say have 5 data sources, and we'll make sure that we at least double that and go beyond this year. So we have about 10 plus data sources supporting various types of use cases, various types of businesses. And one of the other area that will focus is lowering the entry barrier. At Softr, core philosophy has been to make it super easy to use so that people with a lot of different backgrounds can easily start using it. Because we knew that no-code tools are there like for many years, but many of those tools are also super complicated to start. And one of the core philosophies of Softr is to make it super easy and easy to adapt and learn and grow as you build. Now let's dive a bit deeper and see how we make it more powerful. So first of all, we are going to rebuild, we are in the process of rebuilding every single block that Software supports. And the goal here is twofold. So one is to make them aesthetically very nice and very responsive, adaptive as well, and also easy for a builder to get the best from the modern design principles. So instead of the builder kind of wondering like, how do I do this best? How do I position this element? Or how do I style each single thing? We want to make it like good out of the box, and we also want to make it like configurable easily. Like if you change one text color, pretty much you will have an option to change it for entire block for every single text. Still, you can go individually and change things, but we'll give you like multiple layers of customizability, like theme level. You change and application, like everything everywhere changes, and then you can go and apply styles on a block level. Entire block gets affected. If you want, then you can go on to the element level and adopt those as well. And we are checking hundreds of different SaaS products, different like ways for Kanbans and calendars, lists, and trying to adopt the best practices so that the next version of our blocks is powerful and can serve for the next 5 years pretty much with the best design standards. And also to make it powerful for internal use and business cases, today's software lacks functionality of putting blocks next to each other. This is one of the work in progress items for us now, so that we can ship in 3 months, is putting blocks next to each other. So this will allow you to build very nice looking dashboards where the items could be set like next to each other. As of today, it's done mostly via custom code, and our community is very helpful providing those, but this will be out of the box functionality. And it will be very easy to have container blocks and add some blocks inside them and decide the layout, etc. So it will be super powerful thing. Going back maybe a bit, we will also be investing a lot into navigation, because today's software allows like vertical, horizontal navigation, and then you can configure it. It becomes like vertical as well, but it's not like out of the box the best experience. So we are, as a part of the blocks redesign, we are also touching the navigation, and we will have a single navigation block, but it will be very powerful. So it will have a vertical layout, which will be visible also on a canvas. It will have all the best practices again from the modern SaaS approaches, and it will support dual mode. So it could be either a vertical, horizontal, or a combo mode, where vertical and horizontal work at the same time together. So it will be looking exactly like Notion looks like, or Stripe, or other B2B or applications look like out of the box. And this is a good example here that you can see. So our forms have been also very basic, right? So and we have been promising that we will do forms for a long time already. And finally, we are in a position that we are now testing and refining final touches that we can ship it in a couple of weeks. Forms will get a lot of boost. So there will be multi-step forms. There will be conditional logic between different steps of the form, and based on the answers that you do in certain steps of the form, you will be able to skip some stages, some questions, etc. So it will be on par with type form, jot form, and so on as a form builder. So this has been a long investment, and finally we are very close to release it in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So another thing to make Softr powerful is actions, as Mariam mentioned. So in 2023 we added CRUD actions, and we will continue evolving actions and adding more simple actions from our perspective, but also needed for the businesses, like downloading the data or printing the data or duplicating like the data, etc. So far it was CRUD, and now we'll continue adding more day-to-day business operations related actions. On top, we will also be extending our Zapier and Make integration, making sure that you can, through actions, also trigger Zapier webhook or any other REST API you can call through actions. Additionally, we will be introducing Zapier native triggers so that Softr button can be natively integrated with Zapier and Make. So I think those webhook and native triggers will allow many different use cases for you to achieve through your apps and actions. User management. So even though we have a lot of functionalities around user management, and it supports various scenarios like SSO and login with magic links, login with codes and SMS, etc. All of this is cool. However, the current approach is that you as a user have to do many different things to configure those, and we want to streamline the process and enable easier configuration overall. Enable invitation flow to work out of the box so that you don't need to use Zapier automations next to our Softr user management, or you don't need to do Airtable automations to send invitation emails and so on. So Softr user management will get like powerful revamp that will allow you to define templates, define logic, like how you want your users to be informed about it, like two-factor authentication is some possibilities to be added into it. We will also enable filtered user sync, because we have been hearing from the community that many times they have data in their data sources that they don't necessarily want it to be synced with Softr. So adding some filters like which types of users you want to be syncing, like having an access to your app, as well as doing global data restrictions functionality, so that on the user group level, you can define, those are the tables that no one can do edit, or only this group can do edit, etc. So top level restrictions, and then you can go and do the rest in particular blocks if you want to. So it will become like very, very easy to set up and easy to automate. We also invest a lot into security. Right now, we are going into a SOC 2 compliance audit. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we will have the result and we will share with the community as well. So security for us, as being originally set up in Germany as a German company, has been top priority, and we continue to invest into it and making the system as secure as possible. And part of it is to invest into SOC 2, and after SOC 2 is done, we'll be looking into other certifications and mechanisms to strengthen our position. And last but not least, Softr AI. So as Maria mentioned, last year we did the AI app generation, which was simple prompt-based generating the AI. And we will be, like, as AI is everywhere, we are also very actively in the community involved and looking different ways to integrate into Softr. In fact, we were probably the first one that integrated the AI to help with like a content generation and image generation, etc. But we will not stop here. So we will bring an AI to be more integrated into Softr app building. As just throw out a few examples. One, when you start creating a new application within the Softr Studio, so one approach would be start with templates, start blank, or start with AI, where you actually talk to the AI and it helps you to create your app. That's one approach. Second one, as one of you asked about assistant APIs. So we are also thinking that we have a lot of help documentation, a lot of material, how certain things are done. And I think we, at some point, will be in a position to introduce Copilot as well next to in the studio. As next to your building, it can make you suggestions, or you can turn to the Copilot and ask specific question. Hey, how do I, configure, my domain? I configured, I still have a problem. And for example, it could say you still have those kind of records that needs to be removed, or you need to do something else, right? So those are the directions that we are looking into, and we are excited about AI, and we think the AI should be like part of everyone's job going forward, and it needs to be part of software as well. Thanks a lot. I will stop presenting, and I think it's a good time to take your questions and answer them.
Yeah, so we do have quite a few questions here in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, so Lars is asking, do you have plans to extend the AI prompt so we can give them more information about what to be built? At the moment, it's very restrictive. Ooh. I think he jumped out.
Wait, I also jumped out.
Yeah,
So let me just reiterate on the question. Do you have plans to extend AI prompt so we can? Yes, so it's actually a feedback that we also have received from our users using the AI prompts. It's something that definitely is in the roadmap. So it's always a question of evaluating, that versus forms versus all of the other things. So we are very mindful of what is nice to have, what is critical, etc. So definitely this is part of it, to help users define better, or more specifically, what AI prompts they can and control some of the things. Yeah, it's in the plan, in the roadmap, but I can't give an ETA, but definitely is something that we are evaluating against lots of the other things. And yeah, we'll get there. Please.
All right, and Nick was asking if there are plans to enable us to sell subscriptions to our software applications. And upon chatting with them in the chat a little bit more, I think they're talking about multi-tenancy apps in terms of being able to like create a template app and then maybe resell that app to other people and allow them to kind of spin up that app or that template and pay for that. So maybe a kind of a good terminology for this is subscribe to a template that they have created, maybe, or to create a white label template. Any plans for that?
I can add that we have seen previously some people do that through creating an app, setting it, making a template. So it's not something that's going to live in the Softr universe, but it's your own template, and you can just have the link. You will have to do some kind of manual work at the back end, but once you share the link with someone who you want to sell that to, they could simply go and copy that, and depending on if you use premium functionality, then they would have to be on a paid plan, but they could simply just reuse that link of your app as a template, copy it into their workspace, and then you manage that behind the subscription. So there is workarounds. It's not like straightforward functionality that's right out of the box, but you definitely, yeah, we have seen some people do that through also Gumroad, etc.
Yeah, for sure. And then it looks like someone's asking about when will pure SQL database be available? So integrating with SQL in some way.
Yeah, we have been discussing that even today. So, and in fact, we have some of it already implemented, and on our backend systems, like it's work in progress, but we have like it partially implemented. We are playing it around. I think realistically thinking, one could expect SQL databases, and a couple of them in Q2. So this quarter we might still continue a bit working on it, and then it could be releasable like next quarter.
All right. And then can you talk a little bit about, Francisco's asking about the scalability of the platform. So if a user creates an application for a small number of users, how big can that get with Softr?
Well, Softr in general doesn't have much of problem on its own. Most problems come from data sources. Like, for example, Airtable has limits of 5 requests per second, and Airtable is not designed to be a scalable database. If you will like throw out 100,000 users like at the same time at Softr, like doing something, let's say it's not connected to Airtable, it will work fine. If it would be connected to SQL database, it would work fine without any problems. But as soon as it's connected to Airtable, it will start having certain delays, because like so many people at the same time simultaneously trying to read from Airtable, Airtable will first start saying, okay, you are making too many requests, and that means like we need to slow down a bit and sequence the request, so end users will kind of get the data, but slowly. So to keep it short, like as a software platform, we don't have really limitations there. However, when we depend on data sources, certain data sources come up with limitations, and we need to cope with those. There are different strategies to cope with it, like caching the data long term, etc. We are looking into those, but also caching comes with a downside of like your data is not going to be fresh. If some other user updates something and you want to immediately upon your next refresh, see a real-time data, you will not be able to do it. So that's why, as of now, we are avoiding cache as much as possible, talking directly to data sources. But this is direction to look into it. And adding more data sources hopefully will help you also to build like very, very scalable things. Like when adding SQLs or Zano, I think you will be able to scale pretty much a lot.
All right. And then we've got, will there be a bigger library of blocks in addition to the redesigns that are taking place? So more blocks, not just a redesign of existing ones.
I'm curious to hear what are the other blocks people are looking for. So I know there is, so I think one of the biggest challenges we have is just limitations with the existing blocks, because a lot of the current blocks are just not configurable. So one thing that is going to come with the redesign is potentially the number of the blocks on the panel is going to be lower, but it's going to be more configurable. So you will get more variations with the least smaller number of building blocks, basically by configuring, toggling things on and off, and changing the settings. So from that perspective, also one other thing that's actually has been asked a lot is changing the layout within the block. Let's say if you use one layout list or Kanban, you can simply just from within the settings change that to a different layout. You don't have to delete and add a new block, which is a challenge for everyone using the platform. But beyond that, I'm really keen also to hear if people want to jump in and just add what are some other blocks that people are missing. So a lot of the things that, again, from a building block perspective, we're very focused on making sure that a lot of the business use cases are covered with the types of building blocks and dynamic blocks we're adding. We're not so much optimizing from the static building block perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, gotcha. So if anybody has suggestions about blocks that they would like to see, please put those in the chat so that we can keep an eye on those for sure.
A few of those that it's not in implementation phase, but we are kind of know about it, and we'll add at some point our timeline block and also tab layout block, etc. So there are a couple in the pipeline, but we are not there yet to start working on it.
Gotcha. And then can you talk a little bit more about the timelines? I see a lot of questions. There's actually several questions about timelines for the features that you mentioned. For example, with the conditional forms, like when that is exactly coming out, and then kind of the time frames that we're looking at for some of these new features.
Yeah, some of the features will come in this quarter. So, for example, conditional form will be released this quarter. Sometime in February, that's the date we have set. There might be a bit of shift on that date, but it's definitely this quarter. Few blocks will be with the new design will be released as well, also with their respective settings panels and the easier way to configure with new theme. And that's grid block and also detail block, etc. So some of those will be released. The global data restrictions will be released as well this quarter in the next couple of weeks. I think the rest we will update our roadmap and we'll try to be as precise as possible so that we can follow up. I can't kind of share for the entire year because things change so dynamically that it wouldn't make sense now to just share it. Let us think through and we'll put like a public roadmap there as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it looks like we've answered a lot of those. I think we've got one about SOC 2, and then I'll go back and check the chat very briefly. With SOC 2 coming out, will you be enhancing the security surrounding Softr Studio itself, not just the end user, which I think is kind of what SOC 2, can you provide a little bit more clarity about what SOC 2 is? Because there's a little bit of confusion. Is it an ISO certification? What's the importance of the SOC 2?
SOC 2 is a common certification for SaaS businesses like ours. So there's ISO version of that as well. However, most of the SaaS companies are opting in for SOC 2 because that's more commonly adopted one. And it has a couple of things in it, right? So some of it is organizational maturity, so that you as an organization have processes. Second, like how you do releases and so on. The second one is security. So is your infrastructure, is your product secure? So that means like we run penetration tests every year with a third party. That means like our infrastructure follows certain best practices, like everything is encrypted in transit, everything is encrypted while at rest. Your servers don't expose any vulnerabilities, everything is up to date. Like pretty much every security measures possible on infrastructure and the code is being checked as a part of that. And there's also availability part on a SOC 2, meaning how available is your system. For example, if we are on AWS, right? So are we using multi-availability zones? If part of the AWS gets shut down for some reason, will your infrastructure still be there and serving its customers, etc. So those are the availability parts, and we are covering those pretty well, and that will be included in the SOC 2.
Gotcha. Awesome. And so just a couple more questions here, 3 more questions looks like, and then we will kind of start to wrap this up. Will there be any improvements on page speed performance of Softr apps? And I know that a lot of that does actually depend on the data source as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, we are consistently working on that. In fact, throughout the last few days, we did some improvements, and we are continuing doing that. We introduced lately also an option that, so most of the page speed optimization question comes from data sources Patrick mentioned. If logged in user is logging into a page and then navigates to another page, there is pretty much, we are taking the current user record from the data source to see if there is something changed. Maybe the user group has been revoked, or maybe some attributes have been changed, so we can evaluate and return you the right blocks and return the right data and so on and so forth. And obviously that is a little bit slowing down the page load. However, lately we started to experiment with introducing a bit of cache between navigating user from one page to another page versus like reading all the time from the data sources. So there are certain applications that need always real time, like user information, and we have a settings in app that they can opt out from the cache. There will be a few minutes of cache that will make applications pretty fast, and we'll consistently be hearing users and optimizing it.
But just for clarity, the caching feature is not available yet. We're still kind of like in testing and all that sort of stuff.
Caching feature is enabled for some use cases already, and we'll be rolling out it more widely.
Okay, good to know. Awesome. And then one from NATO. Will Softr continue to focus on internal tools and business apps, or do you also want to pay more attention to founders and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So Softr, over time, as you have seen, probably Softr also evolved, the platform grows, and the types of use cases also you can build with Softr grows as well. So Softr, generally, the way we approach our building the company is we want to build long-lasting company that is building the biggest no-code ecosystem, which includes founders, entrepreneurs, and everyone else that is a creator that wants to build applications. However, we have to go step by step. And so the main focus right now as building out the application, the platform, is very much focused on us helping businesses be able to build business apps. So businesses can be small, medium size, can be bigger. And also founders are also sometimes have smaller businesses, but generally speaking, we do want to the platform to enable business use cases and support business applications, mainly internal tooling and portals, which is actually covering almost 90% of the business use cases that we know that we have seen. So having said that, however, the platform is always going to be open, always going to be free for anyone to build their own ideas. And as software building is, like I mentioned, is 3 main patterns, and all of the building blocks, typically the way we think about it is we always go by offering common building blocks, the baseline of application building, and then it's up to you to really build out whatever Lego based on these Lego bricks you want to build. So in that sense, whatever we build out, it's actually going to be a very powerful baseline for anyone building any type of application. So if an entrepreneur founder wants to build their startup ideas, that's great. They can continue doing that. However, I think what we are mindful and very intentional about is we're not optimizing for kind of creator or founder entrepreneur type use cases, which might be a bit different type, maybe like more marketplace or B2C type use cases, but very much optimizing the platform functionality at this point towards business applications and business use cases.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think it's a rising tide lifts all ships, right? It's always startup founders and entrepreneurs benefit from any improvements that we make for businesses as well.
I think there's a question from Boris, which actually I think I need to address. It's about blocks auto update. Boris is asking if. Sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that one as well.
Yeah, fine. So Boris is asking if you'll be enabling auto updating blocks, because blocks get outdated when we add new features, and sort of it takes time to update all of the blocks, etc. Certainly. So as of today, some of our engineers are actively working on this feature, and after intensive testing, we will be releasing it in February. So this is a key feature. So there has been a reason that we didn't do this, because we wanted your apps to be as stable as possible, because every potential application feature update is a bit of potential risk to existing functionality that, you add new thing, old thing could kind of break, right? And I think that we are at the point that we have, gained enough experience and enough matured the system that we can start rolling out auto updates. We will actually roll this out slowly. So maybe, it will be only 10% of users initially will get the functionality, and then weeks later, like everyone will get it. But that's the goal. So enabling everyone's blocks to be auto updatable. There might still be the cases that if we do very, very major change, like for example, these entire blocks are getting like a UI shift, like look and feel is completely changing and everything is changing pretty much with the blocks, we might still not auto update, because we might sort of annoy you by doing that. In that case, we will prompt you and tell, this is a big change, so maybe you just add a new block and see if you really like and want to go to the next version. But for 90% of use cases, we'll be able to auto update everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I know I get calls from, or that question a good bit on calls as well. And then one last question here. Do you plan to build your own data source like Softr, quote, Softr tables at any point?
So we are today more focused on integrating other data sources than building our own data source for a few reasons. Because first, we haven't been receiving feedback that people need yet another data source, or they need Softr specific one. We are just not hearing enough demand for that. Second, us also coming from a tech field, we know that teams, companies already have data spread in so many different systems, and we just don't want to introduce yet another system where you will kind of start syncing your data and then thinking how to sync back to other systems, etc. Part of the problem in a data world is like it's scattered everywhere. And we at Softr try to kind of yet avoid it and enable you to connect to as many data sources as possible and leveraging it within your app, versus saying, collect everything into a Softr data source, and then you can add even custom things on top that will live only in Softr. So we try to be a little bit open platform. However, if we hear more feedback, more real life use cases that people need Softr specific data sources, then we are also open to evaluate it and consider it.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, I think that's it. I do see some kind of more minor questions that were touched on briefly, but maybe not answered in full down into the nitty gritty details of some of those questions. So if you have something that it's a burning question and you really want it answered, please reach out to any of us here on the call. I'll be happy to answer those questions in more detail. Really, thank you so much for joining us on this call. Miriam, Arthur, any last words before we kind of wrap this up?
No, just also thank you everyone for joining the call. It was exciting, and I hope you continue building with Softr and you continue sharing all of the feedback. And by the way, all of this was just kind of a quick sneak peek of what we are planning. This is not everything. And obviously there is also lots of other improvements and small and medium type work that also we just aren't necessarily, doesn't fit into all of this what we are sharing. So definitely excited for 2024. I think it's going to be a big one for Softr, and yeah, really looking forward for all of your contributions and feedback as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining again, and if we can be of assistance, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you all so much. Hope you'll have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.